So the first thing that's happening, you'll notice that his head is, for the most part, in line with his arms. And what that means is his ears track with his biceps. So that is super important. So anytime that you are trying to achieve an arch, your head should be back. Anytime that you are trying to achieve a hollow, your head should be in. Why? Because your head is connected to your spine, and in whatever position your head is in, it's likely that your body will follow. And so, as you'll notice Duke's swing, he's got great tension. His head is up. He's able to breathe in this position, and he's creating length. And so the key component for you, as I've watched your swing so far and in your muscle-up attempt, is take some extra time swinging before you try the muscle-up. I know that, when you compete, you're going to want to go right into it, but honestly, if you take 2 swings before a set of 3 to 5 muscle-ups, it's not going to cause a huge detriment to the clock. But what it's going to do is it's going to cue you to have that tight, long swing and reduce the amount of force that you're going to have to apply on the rings to create these muscle-ups. So in the end, a couple of swings at the beginning while you're training this and getting it mastered is not going to be a problem. If anything, it's going to improve your swing. So let's go ahead and get you caught up. The biggest thing that I've noticed is here. So if you'll notice the difference between your backswing and Duke's backswing. The first thing is you'll notice your head is looking down, right? You're looking this direction, right? So one of the problems with that is that now your head is in. When your head is in, your back is going to hollow. So rather than stretch that the thoracic spine all the way out and feel that length, you are tight and tense. The other thing I noticed is that you do have a bit of a false grip and some bent arms. So if you notice here, you've got like a little bend here, a bend here, a bend here. You got a bend here, 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 here. So counting all those angles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 angles. This is a tremendous, 6 angles. This is way too many angles. The goal is to really work that backswing so that you are longer and you start at a higher point. Because if you start at a higher point, then gravity is going to help you the most. It's going to create the most force on the way down, which you just have to hold on to the shape, and it will take you back up. Pendular swings are really easy to master if you can start with looking straight ahead, lifting your chin up, and what I always say is open up your mouth wide and try to catch a fly in your mouth. Lift your chin away from your chest, and that's the first step. The other thing I would suggest is drop the false grip. The false grip, I'll create a false grip for you later and show you where to do that. But for now, let's not hold the false grip at the bottom. And the reason for that is because at the bottom of the swing, that pendular swing, with gravity pulling down on you, it can be from anywhere from 7 to 8 times your body weight that you're supporting. And so holding that false grip is going to tax your forearms, and it's going to make you fatigue very, very quickly. So what we want to do is try to be as long as possible at the bottom of the swing, where the maximum amount of our weight is pulling down on us, and that's what we need to change first. So I'm going to go ahead and try to catch Duke up with you on this and look at these positions. So we just looked at our backswing. Oh, hey, you stretched out here a little bit. That's okay. So this isn't too bad, but again, if you look, let's take Duke back here for a second. If you look at the difference, like Duke's shoulders are here and his hips are here. Your shoulders are here and your hips are down here. Big difference in these two positions. Okay? So we really want to try to get your backswing up more, and the way to do that is drop the false grip, pick the chin up, let those shoulders drop so your hips can rise. So let's see if I can sync you guys up. So this is the backswing. We're going to move into the scoop phase here. And let's take a look at your scoop phase. Whoa, you've got some really aggressive backward swing. Now you're starting to pull already. Now you have not passed through the bottom, and you'll notice that right here, you're already pulling down and creating this angle. So that will continue, and now your weight is way behind the rings. Now your scoop is actually not that far away from a hollow. Your legs are straight. The only thing I notice here is, look, your head is like poking out right there, right? We definitely don't want to have your head out because, as I said earlier, or I think I might have said to Dana, the key is arms and ears need to track together. So your ears should line up with your biceps. And if you notice here, your ears are going behind your biceps, and so you're starting to pull too much. So as Duke has a little bit of that angle as well on the left side, but what you'll notice is that he's kind of loading up to throw back on the ring. So you'll watch as he goes, he stops his feet here at about horizontal, just below his heart, and starts to kick his heels down. As he kicks his heels down, you'll notice that you can almost see the logo on his shoe perfectly clear as he does this wave through his body and rows back on the rings. So rowing back on the rings is excellent because as the rings go back, you actually rise in the air. That's our kind of body wave shape, and you'll notice that as he stops his toes, then his knees rise, then his hips rise, and eventually watch his chest even rises. And he's rowing those rings now downward. Now there's slack in the rings, in the straps, and you'll notice he's just kind of flying through the air right now. So all he has to do is really just put his rings in his pockets, and he will arrive in almost a straight arm position on top of the rings. Now, this is clearly a very elite gymnast that's doing this, and so it's difficult to compare directly with this. But what I do want to show you is that this is the ideal shape. Now, he's arriving on top of the rings in an almost vertical position, and that's what we're trying to achieve. So that rather than having to dip very, very hard, you'll arrive in a position that just requires you to keep pushing down. So now let's take a look at your scoop to your wave. Now you'll notice you're actually so deep into a pike. Oops, sorry, wrong picture. You're so deep in a pike here that now it's going to be very difficult for you to open that back up and create a wave through your body. So what happens is you bend your knees. Now, I see you popping those hips, but look at your shoulders. You'll notice the rings are not behind you much. You're way behind the standard here. If you notice, this is way right here. Your shoulders are very, very far back, and your rings are closer to the standard, which is here, right? So what we really want to do is try to get that body wave that I saw on Duke, which is there, that big wave backwards, where the rings are the farthest point back, so your body can wave down and reach that vertical position. So let's continue through this. Notice here, you actually haven't been able to open your hips much at all. It's all in your knees. So if you look at this, your body wave stops right at your knees. What we wanted to see is that wave get all the way up here into your hips and then eventually make it into your chest. So you're already pulling at this point. You've got that deep false grip. Now, I mentioned earlier that we wanted to create that false grip on the fly. Look at Duke. As he rows those rings back, you'll notice he just created a false grip. Whereas you've been maintaining this false grip and bent arms almost the entire time. So now what's going to happen is your rings you're going to have to go up and over the rings like this. Whereas he is going to actually just push the rings out to the side and just let the rings kind of land where they want to land. So let's go ahead and continue with you through this. Now, you're going to be throwing that ponytail down really hard and looking down at the ground. Now, most of your weight is right here, right? This is your shape. What we want to try to do is get that weight up your hips to the center of the rings. So as you get on top of the rings, you'll notice that your shoulders, you're in a very deep arm bend, so you're going to have to dip aggressively to get out of this. Now, because you're relatively strong, this isn't a very difficult problem for you. You're able to push back out of that pretty good. But the whole goal is not to bend and straighten, bend and straighten, bend and straighten throughout this entire movement. The goal is to try to be as extended the entire time as possible so you're not having to use those bicep and tricep muscles to do a lot of work. The more big muscles you get involved in this, the faster you're going to fatigue. So what we're going to work on with you first and foremost when we get into a remote training session is we got to fix this backswing. This backswing has to open up. So we're going to just work on, between now and the time we get together, I really want you to focus on doing, every time you go to the box, let's start working on that swing to look kind of like Duke's, as close as you can to it, where you're doing anywhere, I would say 3 to 5 sets of, 8 to 10 swings, all trying to tighten up your body, trying to lengthen your body in the backswing. and eliminate all these arm bends and shoulder bends and all of these angles, because that's really right now causing a lot of inefficiency with you. I like to say that anytime that you have an angle below or above the center of gravity, so let's count these, right? So you have one angle here, you have a little bit of angle in your hip, there's a little bit, whoops, sorry, wrong angle, let me grab the right picture. Center of gravity is here, right? And you have a bend here, so there's one angle. You have a little bit of an angle right here at your pelvic tilt. You have an angle right here at your rib cage, and then we start getting into an angle here, an angle here, an angle here, an angle here. So just counting those up, you have 5 or 6 points of inefficiency below or above the center of gravity. And so this is what we want to change. If you notice in Duke's case, he really only bends in one spot, right there at the center of gravity. And so his body can naturally flip around that center line, where your body has got all these little tiny circles, if you will, that are causing your body to be confused as to what it's supposed to be circling around or rotating around. When the body turns around one point like that at a lot of speed, you create a weightless state. So when you're weightless, throwing back on the rings and then pulling the rings down into your pockets is very, very easy. This is a good overview, and this will get us started in terms of doing some training. The main thing we want to do is get this swing in the back to look like that back swing. We want to get this front swing to be stopping those toes earlier. Your toes are, let's see, way above your heart. And that is the most important thing. We want to stop your feet somewhere down here with the swing you have, so that you can actually start to wave. As you notice, Duke stops his feet and he waves. Look at the difference. It's almost like he's standing up on a platform and pushing himself to support. So I've got a lot of drills that I'm going to take you guys through when we do our session together. The goal here is really just to figure out how to lengthen out that swing. So practice swings in the meantime. As I mentioned to Dana, that we offer grips, I-99 grips, that are designed specifically to give you the ability to hang on without managing that false grip, and also protect your hands so you can get a lot of volume without shredding your body. And trust me when I tell you this, when you start to relax through your swing but maintain a tight tension, what you'll find is that you're a lot more relaxed, you're a lot less fatigued, and you can do a whole lot more volume, which ultimately is going to allow you to really master this sequence. I do want to talk to you about bails, but I think we need to start from the bottom and work our way to the top. Once we get the bail into the second muscle up, once we get to that phase, I've got a lot of really awesome drills for that as well. So looking forward to working with you. I'll send this over to you right away. Have a great night. Thanks. Bye. Tight form.